It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, who's normally positioned out in left field with his opinions, John Riley. We've allowed him in the studio because it's 99 bleeping degrees outside in San Diego. We welcome you to this Thursday podcast. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you. Thinking projects for the rest of the summer or the fall, whether it's at home, whether it's in the cabin, the cottage, or at work, back patio, up by the pool, think DIXIELINE Lumber. They've got materials, they've got ideas. Go to DIXIELINE Lumber to see what they've got to offer, DIXIELINE.com. John Riley, is it fall yet? Can we get beyond this oven-baked temperature day in San Diego? Damn, it's hot. How you doing?
Yeah, it's hot, man. You know, it's like Africa hot. Like, remember the movie Biloxi Blues? You ever see that? And that was a great line from that. But yeah, it's hot out there, man. What's going on? It's no more June gloom.
As Robin Williams said in Good Morning Vietnam, it's HOTT.
Yeah, it's too hot in the hot tub.
99 degrees, and the heat index is 105 in the driveway outside the castle. John, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to go a lot of different directions. Item 1, we do sports talk the way it should be done. Item 2, after we're done with topics on the table, we let you take over this podcast. It's called Fans Forum. We talk about hot stories, ask you to respond to the hot stories and the hot takes we have, or if there's something we've talked about in the past, we invite you to jump on board. John Riley will explain how the Fans Forum chat box works, and we urge you to use it. John, go ahead.
Yeah. Use it or lose it. You know, get on board. If you have a question or comment in the world of sports for Hacksaw, just type in your question or comment in the live chat on X, on YouTube, or on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
And, of course, a couple of other items. I write on sports every day on my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. If you've never sampled it, what the hell's wrong with you? If you've never sampled it, you're missing a volume of sports I guarantee you won't find anywhere else. So check it out. It's there first thing every morning. It's on the homepage every day. When you go to the website, also there's an orange box on the homepage front page. Fill it out. Join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. You will get on our special email list. We want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. We want you to subscribe. When you subscribe, especially on the YouTube channel, you will get alerts every time we put something new. We put a lot of videos and clips up on the YouTube channel, so subscribe and share. Want you to join my social media team. You, me, and Elon Musk together on X. Just type in my name on Twitter, on X, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, or use my slug line at Hacksaw1090. Hit the follow button. Every time we put something up on social media, you will then get the alert. You'll know all about it. And you can also take part in all the volumes of mini polls, questions, answers that I ask and demand on social media. So we're going a lot of different directions, John, but it is the middle of summer. We're on the brink of the baseball all-star break. And baseball will be the lead topic, hitting leadoff today. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, we'll start with the Padres. And, man, last night's loss was really frustrating.
Everything about Padre baseball right now is frustrating. It dawned on me today because this has been an agitated spring and summer with Padre baseball. They're scuffling. They're just a shade above 500, but they're really back of the pack now in the wild card race. Got a whole second half of the baseball season to be played. They got budget limitations. I don't think they've got very much that's tradable that's going to help another club in a pennant race right now. I do think the general manager, A.J. Preller, will find a way to make a deal because he always makes a deal, try to find a plug-in type guy. But what haunts me, and I thought about this coming over to the castle today, you know, they disappointed us in 2021. 2023 was ugly and an underachieving season. And now it's 2025. Is this going to happen again? Is this like an every other year adventure? I mean, last I checked, everything swirling around the A.J. Preller leadership regime was World Series, baby. Well, we haven't been there. We're a decade in to this game plan with A.J. Preller, and we're farther away from the World Series than modern-day baseball fans would expect. So I'm just really kind of disappointed. I think they've really underachieved. Do you know since early May, team batting average is 229. With that payroll, 229. Runners in scoring position since May, that payroll, 205.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's almost, you can always find them at the bottom percentile of teams in that position. Bases loaded, with all that talent, all that payroll, 230.
Brutal.
There's just a shade above 500. Yeah, you can be excited. Maybe they're in the pennant race, but let's deal with some reality. These star players making this huge amount of money to put up those kind of statistics, they've really underachieved. Tough stress for Jackson Merrill. You know, coming into this weekend series here, he was in a 3 for 33 hole. I don't think he's ever experienced that before. You can tell the frustration level. And, of course, Tatis is hitting just 206 since he got beamed in early May. So they're just not a complete baseball team. And I don't know how, the sense, well, we'll hit our way out of it. I don't see that. May's become June, June's become July. We're into the middle of July. I don't see anybody hitting their way out of the malaise that they're at right now. I hate to be doom and gloom, but I'm giving you the facts and the reality of where Padre baseball is right now. Your response.
Doom and gloom. You're a hater, Hacksaw. No, I just want to say last night's game was frustrating. The offense, especially, number 8 and 9 in the order. We got Maldonado or Diaz, and you've got whoever's playing left field. It was Bryce Johnson. You ain't gonna get it done with those guys. I mean, although they're heroic in their own way to plug a hole, but they're not getting it done. But I'll say this: Tatis seems to be hitting the ball on the screws a little more lately. He led off the game last night with a double. Of course, he didn't score. But I'm seeing a little bit more from him that I'm encouraged about. As far as Merrill goes, he's a sucker for that high and outside pitch, and I've seen people try to break down and how his swing is slightly different, and the development of his muscles are changing kind of his mechanics, and maybe unbeknownst to him. On the broadcast, they talk about maybe he's getting too much advice from too many people.
I think scouting reports have caught up to him too. They found some
true.
holes,
yeah,
and lack of discipline, lack of plate discipline's got him chasing balls up here, chasing balls out there. I think that's a byproduct of 3 for 33. He's too good a player, though, almost a complete ball player, just to have this go on and on and on. So I think he'll hit his way out of it. But there's nobody else outside of Manny Machado.
Yeah.
And for the last 5 games, Xander Bogaerts, there's really nobody else hitting. An occasional Gavin Sheets home run.
Sheets, you'll get you something. It's nice to see Xander kind of regressing back to the mean a little bit, because he's been so much of an underperformer for so long. But you're right. It's been basically Manny Machado against the world for the last 2 months. Thank God for Manny. Now they go into a game today. I guess this is the fourth game of a 4-game series
with Arizona, and then they get the suddenly red hot beat your brains out Phillies come in the yard.
Oh, great! Here we go. Hopefully the Padres could at least win this afternoon and salvage a split.
Okay, so we're going to the All-Star break. Item 1 on the fans forum chat box for baseball fans: Padres, pro, con, whatever. They underachieving? What kind of letter grade are you giving the Padres first half of the baseball season? I'm giving them a B-, and I think they've really underachieved. That's what I feel. Hater? No, just a realist based on all the information I have. That's not the only team that's got problems right now in Southern California. Next topic.
Yeah, the Dodgers. I mean, they've lost like 6 in a row, isn't it?
Worst run Dodger baseball since 2019. And half their infield is gone. They got 4 infielders on the disabled list. That's an issue. Losing Max Muncy, who was hot early, that's an issue. Here's a stat. Starting in early June, when Shohei Ohtani ramped up his pitching to get ready to get back on the mound in the rotation, since early June, Ohtani is hitting 239.
Really?
And when he pitches, the day after he pitches, he's 0 for 12 as a leadoff hitter.
Interesting.
Isn't it? That stat kind of came out of
Wow.
nowhere. So obviously he's concentrating on pitching. Suddenly what he's done at home plate, he's swinging at stuff he can't get to, swinging at stuff out of the strike zone. It's like he's trying to do too much. The bullpen just looks like it's in a freaking state of collapse. Now, maybe that's an overuse of Tanner Scott. Scott on back-to-back outings has just gotten lit up again. The Dodgers, I think, have got 14 blown saves right now. That's a big issue. And oddly enough, the starting pitching, I mean, for what Ohtani's been asked to do, he's been really dominant. And we'll see what happens with this weekend series when they play your guys, the Giants. See if they start to stretch him for more than 2 innings and maybe let him go a third inning, because what he's done so far has been really dominant. Tyler Glasnow, really strong appearance. First game off the disabled list. 5 dominant innings, cranking at 95. They're limiting his exposure. They're going to try to build on him. Big rumor, with Muncy gone at least 6 weeks on what really looked like a horrendous season-ending knee injury, that they're shopping for a third baseman. And the names out there include a big money guy, and Dodger dollars can buy anything they want. We've seen that. Nolan Arenado, Cardinals. Another name might be a short-term rental. He can play third base. Former Colorado Rocky, just released today by the Yankees, DJ LeMahieu. Third name, Colorado third baseman, first baseman, not having a good season this year, but has hit prior, but he's 30 years of age, but it's a rental, Ryan McMahon. I do think the Dodgers are going to make a deal because I think they feel they got to be able to go get another third baseman, because they don't really know if Muncy's going to be back before September, and they don't know if there's going to be setbacks in this rehab from this really badly strained knee ligament on this fluke collision at third base. Dodgers coming home right after the All-Star break. They're going to play, I think, 6 or 7 in a row at home. Dodgers just not playing very well. Dodgers getting booed at home by their own fans. This is a team that's got a World Series ring from last year. Doesn't mean anything to the fans right now. They are just banging on them really badly. So your perception of Dodger Blue?
Well, I'd be booing them too if they lost 18-1 to the Astros.
Yeah.
I mean, that was hell. But, here you're going, roof is caving in, the bullpen is blowing up. I mean, you're another doom and gloomer here now with the Dodgers. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They still have the pitchers coming back. I mean, Glasnow pitched. Didn't he pitch yesterday?
Last night.
How did he do?
5 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts.
See, that's pretty good.
I concur.
Yeah. So, I mean, and Snell's going to come back. I mean, they're going to be fine. I mean,
wishing and hoping on him.
Well, but they're in first place by how many games now? 6?
Used to be 9. It's down to 6.
That's still pretty comfortable right now. I mean, yeah, we can kind of get a little excited about the Dodgers, boo-hoo, but, they're going to, like you say, they're going to probably pick up Arenado. That's been a rumor that's been cooking for a few years.
That's a big contract, though. But again, Dodger dollars can buy anything, including pay the luxury tax, I guess.
Yeah, they could pay for it all. But, Arenado, I think, is an LA guy.
Yes.
So it'd be kind of a sweet move if he were able to play for the Dodgers.
Okay, we'll see where it goes. I'm not doom and gloom. I'm just dealing with the reality of a 6-game losing streak and how really ugly Dodger baseball is. Next team in Southern California, because we cover everybody here. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, the Angels and a damaged pitching staff. It's a lot of problems in SoCal.
Well, they just don't have numbers. That's the problem. Their everyday lineup has been kind of fun. Mike Trout's starting to hit. Joe Adell's having a career season, though his batting average isn't very good. Zach Neto, Chanel, the first baseman, Ohapi, the catcher, the rental, Travis d'Arnaud. Some of those guys are doing okay, but they just have enough arms to stay there and do it. And our bullpen at the back end has been hurt with the loss of Ben Joyce, and the age and injury issues with Kenley Jansen have caught up. There's a bigger issue. The Athletic newspaper did a huge investigative report about how the Angels have just totally failed to develop any pitcher since Perry Minasian got there. And I'm not sure that's totally correct, because they got a young pitcher, Jose Soriano, who seems to be getting better and better as they go along. But the criticism is they're dragging these kids up from Salt Lake City, giving them the ball, letting them go out, and they're getting lit. And they just leave them on the mound to get their brains blown out, and then they send them back. They just called up a young pitcher, Sam Aldinieri. Texas scored 13 runs in a row against the Angels this week. Aldinieri was left out there to throw 42 pitches in 1 inning.
Oh, man.
This is a rookie. They just let him out there, and he got lit. A couple weeks ago, they called up what was supposed to be their hottest prospect, Caden Dana. They let him hang out there. He had to throw 41 pitches before he got out of the inning. Wow. He got killed. He wound up going to back to the minor leagues. So there's a huge look at who they've drafted. They had a draft a couple of years ago. They used all 21 picks on pitchers. Not one of them is at the major league level having any success. So now people are starting to look at Perry Minasian. Is he the right guy? I bring this up because there is a right guy out there that's available right now. I think Arte Moreno needs to seriously evaluate, where am I going with my franchise? Do I have the right people in place? Do I have the right blueprint? Do they have any experience? And instead of hiring young and hiring cheap, he's got 2 guys, I was told, that are interested in back in. One is Theo Epstein. Now, Theo Epstein also wants to become part owner of a franchise. But last I checked, Theo Epstein, World Series ring, Cubs, yeah. World Series ring, Red Sox.
Yeah.
Theo Epstein. The other, Mike Rizzo, just bounced out of Washington.
Yeah, those are some interesting names.
So, from an Arte Moreno perspective, have you had any success with this leadership? No. Prior leadership? No. Leadership before that? No. Why are we continuing to do the same thing when you got quality people out there that maybe, if you gave them the authority, the power, and by the way, give them your checkbook, let them fix this thing, rebuild it, and make Angel Baseball a great entity unto itself for Angel fans at that stadium. Make baseball in the OC important like it is at Dodger Stadium, like it is at Petco Park. So what do you think about that idea?
Those are good ideas. Either one of those guys, I think, would be an improvement. I mean, Angel fans are generally a pretty loyal group.
They've been drawing 28,000, 29,000
yeah.
for really a substandard product year after year after year.
Yeah, I mean, your patience can only go so far.
I mean, the era of Tim Salmon and Mark Langston and Chuck Finley, that's in the rearview mirror so many years ago.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that, and because we're talking about pitching, and they haven't really had any like homegrown pitchers recently, but there aren't that many homegrown pitchers that are superstars in Angels history. I mean, you said Tanana, you said who was the other name? You had one other name on your list,
Weaver. But
yeah, no, he wasn't really he didn't come up to the minor leagues there, did he?
I think so, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Finley, Langston, those guys.
Yeah, and you can't count Nolan Ryan because he came from the Mets.
Yes.
So then I remember the next big name there was Tanana. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah. And then they've always signed big name free agents. Remember Reggie Jackson played there for a while, but they never really seemed to sign the big pitcher, did they?
No.
So that's Gene Autry year, I think.
Yeah. Let's just fast forward to today, because I don't think talking about 1975 or 1990 carries much credibility. We're dealing with Arte Moreno, decisions made, decisions that failed, potential lost. And this guy, Perry Minasian, has been given leash and freedom to put his people in place and draft whom he wants. I don't see, at least from a pitching standpoint, any of that there. So is he the right guy, right decision maker, when you got 2 guys that I know from baseball perspective and contacts are interested in getting back in? And these guys have credentials and rings on their resume.
Well, when you first said, I know of 2 guys, I thought you were going to mention Trevor Bauer and Julio Urias.
No, I wasn't talking players. I'm talking leadership.
You're talking leadership. Yeah, and I hadn't really thought of that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, making a little switcher, because how long has Minasian been there?
5-6 years.
Yeah. I mean,
is there any progress?
No. I mean, it's like they're not even in the sniffing range of the playoffs. I mean, it's been forever.
No, they're swimming upstream trying to, we could get to 500, so it means we don't lose 99.
No. Trout and salmon swimming upstream.
Okay, so that's all things baseball. You got an opinion on the Angels? Hey, Fans Forum chat box is open for business. We're not done with baseball. Other topics on the table. John, where do you want to go here?
Yeah, we'll talk about the All-Star Game. It's coming soon, and the draft.
Yeah, let's just talk for a second about the All-Star Game early next week. And then we got the most unique aspect to the All-Star Game is they just announced, the commissioner's office did yesterday, they're going to use automated balls and strikes, the computer system,
awesome,
in the All-Star Game. Now, That being said, it's only going to be used twice, 2 challenges per team.
That's still good.
So
Still good.
somebody at home plate is going to be doing,
Yeah.
and that will lead, obviously, to the use of the computer. The commissioner's office said they conducted a nationwide baseball survey right at the end of the Cactus League and the Grapefruit Circuit, John. 69% of the baseball fans polled in the country, including Florida and Arizona, where the games are played, 69% at the end of spring training said, we really like it, adopt it for opening day. 71% said, we want it for the 2026 season, lock, stock, and barrel, put it in place. Now, whether it's 2 challenges or 3 challenges or 5 challenges, that's still to be thought out by the baseball competition committee. But automated balls and strikes, at least 2 challenges for each team, will be part of the All-Star Game. Second topic, baseball draft is just around the corner, and this is going to be fun. Washington Nationals have the #1 pick in the draft, and everybody of the opinion they're going to take Cade Anderson, big pitcher from National Power LSU. He goes to Washington. The Angels are drafting #2. Angels choice likely to be big left-handed pitcher Liam Doyle, University of Tennessee. And the way we have seen things progress in the last year and a half of baseball, guys who get drafted out of college in a spring draft wind up on major league rosters really quick, as witnessed by Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. Liam Doyle evidently going to the Angels at 2. #3 is Seattle, and they're going to take one of the really good players from Oregon State, shortstop Ava Arquette. The Padres draft way back in the first round by process of their decent season last year. The hottest rumor, the Padres are rumored ready to take the heir apparent to Manny Machado. He's a 6'4" third baseman from Mount Vernon High School in the state of Washington. There may be already a deal in place to get this kid to come. His name is Xavier Navins. Evidently, that's the one that the Padres may draft. If he's still on the board, I think the Padres pick might be at number 25. So we got all that. Other story, Dateline San Francisco. They traded for Ralph Devers from the Red Sox. We thought, wow, that's a pretty good acquisition. Geez, Boston made this strange deal to do this. Devers gets here, hits a couple home runs early, hasn't done anything since. Devers, of course, left Boston under a cloud, under a shroud of he's not much of a team player. He refused to change positions when we desperately needed him to change. So Devers gets to San Francisco and makes the announcement, hey, I'll play anywhere they want me to play, including first base. Okay, sounds good. He's not hitting, not really doing very much. We find out now the Giants set up 3 meetings between Devers and their legendary first baseman, Will Clark, and he blew them all off. Devers did not show up for any of the meetings. Where's the guy's head? Where's the guy's attitude? Where's the guy's responsibility to the new team that he got based on what he had just done to the old team that he came up with, the Boston Red Sox? So really strange story there. Okay, so go ahead. Balls and strikes, the draft, and the Giants.
Yeah, just they're all interesting topics. Let's go in reverse order.
I don't put crap on the table.
No,
I'm not wasting your time.
This is good stuff.
I'm wasting these people's time.
Okay, so the Giants thing with Ralph Devers, I saw the video clip of Will Clark bitching and moaning about it. How they showed up, they were at the field, and Ralph Devers just blew them off.
No show.
And so Will Clark says, yeah, next time they're back in San Francisco, we're dragging his ass out there the infield, at 2 p.m. or whatever it is to get him going. So
he's going to have to answer to Buster Posey who set this up.
Well, but it looked like he turned the corner. He was like being receptive to being more of a versatile player. So that's trouble. That's not a good signal. But anyways, moving on. The All-Star Game, I love having the automatic ball strike system. Again, as far as I'm concerned, they should, like you say, implement it full bore 2026 and not even have challenges. Just let that be the balls and strikes.
Well, they're not going to have it for every pitch.
But they should. I mean, they need to get it right. So hopefully they use it, very aggressively. And then for the draft, I'm not going to worry about Padres and future third baseman, heir apparent to Manny Machado. AJ's drafting, poker chips that he's going to wheel and deal and trade. And so he's going to take the best guy available and probably try to flip him in 3 or 4 years.
So you're okay with the fact none of these kids ever get to San Diego and all the draft picks are playing other places and some are doing pretty well?
I'm a happier Padre fan today than I was 10 years ago in 2015. Has it worked out? No, but I like the aggressive approach of Preller. I like how he thinks like a money manager, kind of managing his assets. And so he sees the talent like that. He's going to draft more assets.
Okay, you can be optimistic. All I know is I've yet to sit in a seat next to you at a World Series game at Petco Park yet.
Yeah,
we're 10 years into this mission.
They should have went last year if the stupid 24 straight shutout innings from those damn Dodgers.
Debbie Downer. Okay, that's all things baseball. You got an opinion? Hey, we're doing a sports talk the way it should be done. When we're done, we want to hear what you got to say. You like the automatic balls and strikes? Damn right I do.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that. Talk about the All-Star game. You want to talk about the draft? Feel free. Fans Forum chat box is open. We're going from baseball. We're talking hoops.
Talking hoops with the new Lakers big man. Words are cheap.
Oh, my goodness. Nice headline. Making reference to DeAndre Ayton, or as I call him, Ayton. He's had a lot of things to say. His introductory press conference was really kind of unique. But nice headline you came up with. Words are cheap. So here's Ayton at his press conference saying, I am going to be fueled by the criticism. He's gotten roasted in Portland since the Trailblazers decided to get rid of him. He says, I look at this roster. We got a video game offense. Then he makes the brazen comment, oh, I have no doubt I can fill AD's shoes, Anthony Davis's shoes. Yeah, right. I'm a max effort guy. And it goes on and on and on about, look what I've accomplished. Yeah. Last I checked, what you accomplished was the Suns gave up on you in Portland, made you walk away. So it's amazing story that this guy has a perspective of what he can be, what he can do, when track record recently says no. And I finally got access to the story in the Oregonian behind their paywall, and Trailblazer beat writer just torched him and got quotes from within Suns people that were there and from Trailblazer people from within. Nobody had a positive thing to say about this guy's complete package at this stage of his career. Now, it begs the question, surrounded by LeBron and Luka, will it make him a different player, a better player, or will he continue to be who he has been in Portland at the tail end of Phoenix? So you tell me. I mean, words are cheap. All the junk coming out of his mouth doesn't mean anything to me till he shows me what he'll do on a consistent night-by-night basis, because his resume is really tacky.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has a dusty track record, no doubt about it, but he has the physical tools to fill AD's shoes, definitely. But the question is does he have the mental attitude? And everything I see from him, he's kind of a free spirit. So the fact that he was kind of popping off at the press conference, talking about how great he is and everything, that doesn't surprise me.
Flim flam, man.
Yeah, but I think in the end, I think LeBron has got to kind of smack him around and get him to fall in line and be a pro and let LeBron and Luka lead this thing. And he's going to have to find his role. And I think we remember when Dennis Rodman was sort of a big free spirit. He goes to the Bulls and Michael Jordan smacked him around and got him to stay in his lane.
So it'll be okay when LeBron grabs him by the throat and says, you will come to practice on time. You will not be late for team meetings. How dare you miss a team flight? Because all that crap happened up in Portland.
Yeah, well, that's what LeBron needs to do.
By the throat.
Yeah, and I think in a Latrell Sprewell, you're talking about that.
Okay, you're a Laker fan? Jump on board. Give us your opinion. Is this the right guy? I think he was the best of the group of centers that became available, with maybe the exception of Walker Kessler of Utah, who's still there, has not been traded. Kessler is a grinder and a worker and a hard-playing guy. This guy just seems to be soft and a floater. The stuff that was in the Oregonian was just mind-boggling. So, I mean, Chauncey Billups, the coach, gave up on him. And Chauncey had a good roster. He just said, "I'm flat done with this. Out of here." So that's all things as it relates to the Lakers. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Interesting night ahead of us tonight. It's the start of the Las Vegas Summer League in the NBA.
Yeah, we get to see some of these draft picks on the court.
Tell you, I watched the early game today. God, it's unwatchable. All these undersized college players cranking up shots, can't get shots, getting fouls. Some of the quality play in the summer league is really poor. Now, 5:00 tonight on a Thursday, we got the Lakers summer league team against Cooper Flag and Dallas. So that's going to be interesting. And I don't want to hear anything about Bronny James and legacy. I mean, I know you're a legacy entrant when they got you into UCSD with a 1.98 grade point average. But I don't want to hear about legacy Bronny James. But I am really interested in this. The Lakers invited a guy by the name of Darius Baisley, 6'5", 6'7", swingman guard forward, shooter, pretty good run-the-floor athlete. In the California Classic, which is the lead-up to the Summer League, he had 27 points and 15 rebounds in one game. Interesting guy. Now, he's been in and out of the league a little bit. I don't know if he's an incomplete player, but there's no doubt that there's skill there. So I'll be interested to see. And, of course, we're going to see Cooper Flag. And I'll guarantee you Cooper Flag will play better than the first game I watched today with New Orleans and whoever the hell they were playing. It was just miserable, unwatchable basketball. Oh, by the way, I'm going to take this comment back. Rewind this. I am going to make a comment about Bronny. You need to explain this to me, Mr. Legacy. How could a guy who's kind of come in on the coattails of his dad, played in a G League and had some games that were pretty good, played hardly at all with the NBA. So he's been training. He looks much bigger physically. How does a kid like this come to this summer league team this year out of condition? He's overweight.
Really?
Not playing very well. When he goes on the floor tonight, he will be 6 for 33 having shot in these preview games coming to the Las Vegas Summer League. 6 for 33, 2 for 17 from the three. I hate to use the word entitled. Geez, why would he do that when he knows he's got something to prove the second year after the learning curve season of the first year? And by the way, the other game to pay attention to will be the later game, San Antonio, Philadelphia, and the matchup of Dylan Harper, Spurs #1 pick, and VJ Edgecombe, the explosive rookie of the 76ers. So those are the two games that I'm going to watch. I hope those two games are better than the first one I wasted part of my early afternoon watching today. But the floor belongs to you. Go ahead.
You know, it's interesting. I think you get those young kids on that court and they just want to prove themselves and probably trying too hard. Sure. So the ball is probably a lot of turnovers and a lot of sloppy play.
You think?
Yeah, you think. So the whole Bronny thing is you just kind of put yourself in his shoes for a minute, because number one, your dad is the all-time NBA's leading scorer of all time. He's in a huge shadow of his dad. Everyone gives him crap and says, you don't belong here. You couldn't even start at USC. You know, you're only a legacy pick. You have no value. And then it gets in his head. And that's why he goes like, he shoots 10% from three and he shows up overweight. He's probably depressed.
But the reality is he has opportunity. He's working out at a great facility with a great franchise.
Yeah.
Why would you not be ready for the summer league?
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, it's a golden opportunity, and yeah, he's pissing it away, but I can just see he's got a lot of pressure points that a lot of other athletes don't necessarily have.
No, but he's got everything right there in front of him and all the materials and all the coaching to use it to get better and better. I mean, when I read that he showed up overweight, how can you be overweight for the LA Summer League when you've had all spring to get ready and you're in the facility?
He's hanging out with Luka.
Now, Luka, I was told Luka looks chiseled. Luka has just been so intensely driven to change his body structure this offseason. Maybe part of that's the fallout from the massive criticism that he was nothing but a big oaf in Dallas. But I was told he looks very, very different as a player now.
Nice. And by the way, there's another preseason game in this summer league I want to watch. It's the Hawks and the Heat. You see Aztecs, Lamont Butler and Keyshawn Johnson face off.
Exactly. Okay, so that's all things NBA. You want to talk about Bronny James? You're not a legacy out there watching us, are you? Probably are. Flash a dollar bill in and jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. One other basketball note. This has to do with college basketball.
Yeah, the Mountain West Conference, big lawsuits cooking.
Yeah, there's a big problem developing here. Mountain West, as you know, is losing 5 schools to the Pac-12. San Diego State, Boise, Fresno, et cetera, et cetera. So the Mountain West is obviously trying to fill the slots with those schools leaving. And they made a deal to take on Grand Canyon University, which has been in the Western Athletic Conference. Grand Canyon was told you can join effective with the 2026-27 basketball season. And out of the clear blue sky, the Mountain West just voted this past week early admittance. They're going to let them come in right now. The problem is the Grand Canyon's admittance changes the structure of the Mountain West. That's a really good basketball program. I went to the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row. The Antelopes did out of Phoenix. Now suddenly got a power team coming in. The other problem is that when the vote was taken, only 7 schools in the Mountain West were able to vote for this because there was an agreement with the Aztecs, Boise, and everybody who's exiting. You're losing your seat on the board of directors. You have no votes at all. Now, Boise's raising holy hell, saying you can't, they're going to ask for an injunction. You can't take a vote that impacts the business relationship of all 12 schools, including the 5 of us that are leaving. You can't do something that changes the financial structure, imposes more expense on us, makes us travel. You got another school that's going to come in and get a cut of the basketball pie for NCAA tournament units. You can't do that without our input and our vote. And Mountain West says, no, when you elected to leave, you agreed you were losing your voting power. So this is kind of messy. San Diego State can't sue because they're in the California system and they're not allowed to do that. But Boise can. And this comes on the heels of the whole Mountain West Pac-12 litigation about exit fees, poaching fees that were thrown on top of the exit fees. So like a lot of things, divorces, I guess, can be messy. And this sure looks really messy. From a Aztec basketball standpoint, they're kind of pissed because now the schedule is going to change. You're going to add Grand Canyon twice. That's a tough place to go play. But I would tell Brian Dutcher, you got a great team. Don't bleep and worry about it. Just beat them because you can play with them. Especially this roster that Brian Dutcher's got going towards the fall and towards the basketball season. But boy, this divorce is really nasty.
Yeah, to me, this strikes me as really weak on Boise State, or even San Diego State to really bitch about it because, they were the first ones who would want to leave. They would want to be the equivalent of GCU going. They would try to go to the Big East, and now they're in the Pac-12 eventually. So, it's hypocrisy to really criticize it from their point of view. But, I get the fear of all of it. I mean, number one, GCU has a ton of NIL money there, and their basketball arena is always just crazy, and they're a scary team, that San Diego State doesn't want to face. Plus, don't they do that balanced schedule thing? So now they'll have even less opportunity for non-conference schedule, which is going to weaken the resume. So yeah, this is a messy thing, but I mean, Boise and San Diego State and Colorado State, Utah State, all of them, they've already made up their mind. So this is what they have to deal with.
Yeah, this is the medicine they're going to have to swallow because they agreed to it. Why the presidents of San Diego State and the others would agree to give up voting power when they had another year to serve in the Mountain West, that's a question that needs to be asked. But the Mountain West drove a hard bargain, and these schools want to go to the Pac-12 for what their future might be, and they said, okay, we'll give it up. Well, they gave it up, and now they had no input whatsoever in this early admission to Grand Canyon. Interesting story.
Even if they had input, they would have been overvoted. It wouldn't have mattered. I mean, it's kind of a disrespect thing. I think it's probably getting them most angry.
A lot of disrespect. I'll guarantee you that.
For sure.
Okay, that's all things baseball and basketball. You got opinions. Want you to jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Join us. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. The most unique thing It's 99 bleeping degrees outside. Do you know I have yet to turn my air conditioner on?
Still.
Because I have windows and doors that have sealed my house off. And it is so cool. I closed everything up at 8:30 this morning, and everything from that cool ocean breeze is still inside that house. I've not turned my air conditioning on. That's because of doors and windows, because of DIXIELINE lumber. So you do the sales pitch. I'm just telling you what I've experienced.
You just did the pitch. But, if you're hot, they got a lot of other solutions. They sell fans, and ceiling fans and, equipment for HVAC systems, for air conditioning. And they have some of that they stock there. The other cool things that they do is, you ever heard of a pergola?
No.
It's like an outdoor patio cover, but with kind of more of an ornate wood, that's been cut and customized. Just some really nice patio covers that they'll provide all the materials, help you, get that organized. They're just good people to work with. You know what else they provide, which is kind of cool? Have you ever seen those shade tarps that they put in the backyard that look like a sail on a boat? They have those at DIXIELINE as well. So if you're hot, they can help solve it.
You should get one of those, and then we can do our show out on your back patio. But it's too bloody hot right now to do it on the back patio.
That's for sure.
But you got projects. Think about DIXIELINE lumber. And tell you what, doors and windows can change everything in your home. Now, I'm not just talking about the aesthetics. I'm talking about cooling in the summer, heating in the winter. Go to DIXIELINE.com, find out all the things they can offer, DIXIELINE.com. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber. Build it, fix it, guarantee you will enjoy it in 2025, thanks to DIXIELINE. Reminder, when we're done, podcast with topics on the table, Fans Forum chat box is open. John, we got so many new people that are storming on, watching this live stream. Explain how Fans Forum works.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, look who's already in here. We see and John and Gordon and Tim and Callan. So if you've got a question or comment in the world of sports for this guy, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, this is your chance. Type in your comment in the live chat on X, on YouTube, on Facebook. We'll get you involved.
And if you support the guy from left field, that's okay. You're allowed to be out there and have an opinion with him, though it is 99 degrees outside in left field. So that's Fans Forum chat box. That's when we're done with hot topics on the table. Check my website. I write on it every day of the week, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's there first thing in the morning. You won't get this volume of information anywhere else. You give me 5 minutes every morning, I'll give you every story there is in the world of sports. By the way, join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. You can register to get on my email list right there on the homepage of my website. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get alerts because we put a lot of videos up. I think I put 8 videos up this morning on the YouTube channel. You'll get the alerts every time we put videos up there. Want you to join the Twitter AllStar team, social media. Just go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Hit the follow button. You'll be able to follow me on X. We're in the air everywhere. Social media.
Baja to the Canadian Rockies.
And globally.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's move to the second half because we're going quickly and then we're going to get to the Fans Forum chat box. John, where do you want to start?
Okay, the NFL never sleeps. Here we go.
Interesting storylines. We're about a week away from the opening of the National Football League season. Bullet point stories. I'll tell you, I am so intrigued by all things Raider football. Can you believe that the voice of the Chargers once upon a time is intrigued by all things with the silver and black? Max Crosby, press conference this week at a function, charity function. He's such a great guy, a really good player, does so much in the community. Max Crosby talked about Pete Carroll, and Max Crosby of the opinion, there is a different vibe in this building right now. There is no longer any false energy surrounding Raider football. In essence, he's making reference to what had been there before with the past head coaches. He says Carroll is authentic. Carroll is a leader of men. Carroll puts everything right there for the players to understand. So very positive. Max Crosby talking about all things Pete Carroll. In Atlanta, he's broken his silence. Kirk Cousins goes public and says, I feel misled. He signed a big money free agent contract with the Atlanta Falcons, left the Minnesota Vikings, and then Atlanta turned around and drafted Michael Penix from the University of Washington and wound up giving him a starting job at the end of last season when Cousins played so badly. He said, I would have never come here if I'd known they were going to take Michael Penix. Well, he got a $27 million contract, he had a $10 million roster bonus that he was given by the Falcons ownership. If he feels so badly about being there right now, why doesn't he give the money back? Give the money back, ask for your release. Now, there's no place to go. Nobody's got a lot of cap space. It's kind of late in the game to saying, I wish. But I think it's kind of tacky for Kirk Cousins to conduct his business publicly right now. He's the one that made the choice. He's the one that took the additional roster bonus money. Give money back. Take a pay cut. Go on the open market. See if you can sell your wares somewhere else. Strange story, Cleveland. They're a week away from the opening of their training camp. Do you know who's going to get the snaps with the number one unit after they've gone through all the OTAs? Old man Joe Flacco.
Hey.
Joe Flacco has pushed himself to the front of the four-man quarterback race because he understands and knows on the back of his hand everything Kevin Stefanski wants. And Kenny Pickett is just scuffling and struggling with line calls and things of this nature. And, of course, Pickett's on his third team in about a 4-year span in the NFL. So they are now saying Flacco is going to be number one. Interesting sidebar story with Shedeur Sanders. At this point now, they don't even think he might even make the roster. And there's a report, the CFL Toronto Argonauts have now put him on their negotiations list. And if Sanders wants out, or Sanders gets waived and doesn't want to go on developmental at a minimum salary, he's got a chance to go to the Canadian Football League. I don't think that's going to happen, but they can't carry 4 active quarterbacks on that 53-man roster, despite what Cleveland said last week. The Shedeur Sanders thing is unresolved. They got a problem in New Orleans. Unique situation in New Orleans. You know, the head coach is Kellen Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Former offensive coordinator, Chargers, hot coordinator, other places.
Boise State.
Yeah. You know who the defensive coordinator on Kellen Moore's staff is? Brandon Staley.
Oh, yeah. We remember that guy.
Yeah. His former head coach who hired him with the Chargers. Staley was head coach. He brought Kellen Moore in as a coordinator. Now the roles are reversed. Anyhow, Kellen Moore's got a problem. They have now gone through all their OTAs and everything. They're getting ready to open up camp in Louisiana. He doesn't have a quarterback that understands his playbook. They drafted Tyler Shuck out of Louisville because they think there's great upside there. They got Spencer Rattler, who played some games last year with Jake Haener. Both of them got hurt. Both of them really struggled. They're going to training camp, and Moore's playbook is like the phone directory. And these quarterbacks are really struggling. That's a report out of New Orleans. And the Rams, I don't know where this is going to go, but there's history here. Rams have, had a good offseason. The acquisition of Devontae Adams, the fact that they brought Matthew Stafford back. Rams got a problem with the running back, Kyron Williams, a kid out of Notre Dame, who's had 2 really good seasons. His contract, he's got 1 year to go in his contract. They were talking extension. Evidently, Kyron Williams' agent asked for a max contract that would make his client the highest paid running back in the league. And the Rams said, no, we're not paying 15 or 16 million based on 2 years. There is precedent there. If you recall this name, Todd Gurley.
Oh, yeah.
Running back Georgia. He had some really good seasons. They gave him a monster contract before his first contract was up. He went out, blew out his knee, was never, ever the same, had to swallow the contract. Rams are just saying, we will bump him up or not paying him max money because we made that mistake already. We learned from the history with Todd Gurley. So that's what's going on in the notebook. I apologize in advance. Legendary voice of the Chargers, intrigued by all things silver and black. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting news and notes that you have around the league. First of all, I love the energy coming out of the Raiders camp. I think it's so positive for Raider Nation, for the team, and really for the NFL.
No fake energy, though.
No, I think it's legit. I mean, that's Pete Carroll. I mean, he is authentic, even though he's, bubbling with enthusiasm. Kirk Cousins, he got his money. He's just bitching and moaning. Shedeur, I saw that in the best 15, this permission to interview or with the CFL.
Well, the Argos put his name on the list. he becomes available, they can call him.
That's interesting. I've never heard of such a system where you have to be put on a list in order to do an interview. But at any rate, and then by the way, Kellen Moore, does he even shave? I mean, that guy, his playbook is the problem. But I want to ask here just kind of a Rams related question. Has Lee Hacksaw Hamilton ever met Jack Hacksaw Reynolds?
No. Wish I had, but no. No, the legendary linebacker.
Yeah.
And I didn't meet the wrestler who was named Hacksaw either. Everybody confuses me with that guy, and I don't even know what his name is. But no, I never had the chance. Jack Hacksaw Reynolds, that's a long time ago.
Because he played for the 49ers too. I remember that.
Yeah, but he was a star with the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams was his team for sure.
So, no, never had that opportunity, but that goes back a few third downs ago.
That's like late 70s, early 80s, isn't it?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Boy, you are really out in left field sometimes with your questions.
Yeah, well, it just keeps it interesting, you know?
Yeah, you're a legacy guy. I understand all that, razzmatazz. Okay, you got a comment? Anybody want to talk about Raider Nation? Feel free, jump on board, talk about Kirk Cousins, and any of the other topics on the table. Next topic.
Okay, Hockey Hotline, college stars on the move.
This is kind of a historic week in the National Hockey League. His name is Gavin McKenna. He's the one there on the right-hand side. Medicine Hat Tigers, Western Hockey League. He's going to be the #1 pick in the NHL draft next season. He's leaving the Canadian junior ranks. McKenna has chosen Penn State. He is enrolling. He will play 1 year at Penn State. And they have a loaded team because they have a whole bunch of other NHL draft picks that are going to be in that program. It's the first time NCAA schools have been allowed, they started on July 1st, allowed to take Canadian junior hockey players. Up until this past July 1st, those guys were viewed as professionals because they've been given money to play junior hockey, cost of living stipends. So because of a lawsuit, new ruling came, NCAA accepted. We will allow the Canadian junior players to come stateside if they qualify academically to get into school, and they can play and they'll get NIL money. Gavin McKenna is a star. His numbers at Medicine Hat in the Western Hockey League are greater than Connor McDavid's numbers when McDavid was with the Erie Otters in the Ontario Hockey League. So
wow.
This kid's going to Penn State for 1 year. The other player on the left-hand side is an interesting kid. His name is Isaac Howard. Plays at Michigan State. He's played 4 years at Michigan State. Scored 29 goals this past season. He's the Hockey Player of the Year, Hobie Baker Award in Division I hockey. He was drafted by Tampa, refused to sign. So either Tampa has to trade him or they risk losing him August 15th as an unrestricted free agent. They just traded him to the Edmonton Oilers for a draft pick. This kid's a really good hockey player, and he just signed with the Edmonton Oilers. He's a goal scorer. He's big, played at Michigan State 4 years. Really fine hockey player. So something really different. You hardly ever see high #1 picks like Isaac Howard go unsigned. We've never seen an elite player like Gavin McKenna come across the bridge, come across the border, and enrolling at Penn State. So fascinating week in the NHL.
Yeah, that Isaac Howard story reminds me of John Elway.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe even Eli Manning to a degree. But that's pretty ballsy to be drafted and say, no, I don't want to play there.
Tampa's a really good organization.
Yeah.
Why he did not want to go to Tampa, but now he's an Edmonton Oiler, and they signed him within an hour after they got the deal done.
So he's been in Michigan State, you said, for 4 years.
Yes.
So he's in his early 20s. But this Gavin McKenna kid, he looks really young.
He's 17 going on 18.
Wow. But
And
he's like the real deal, like the prodigy.
yes, he will be evidently the next great one. And like I say, he's broken all the records that Connor McDavid set when Connor played junior hockey in Erie, Pennsylvania, in the Ontario Hockey League. So you're into hockey. The rules have changed. The laws changed. It's going to be interesting what college hockey becomes this season. Last set of topics on the table. Hell, we might be here till Saturday covering what's next on the list, John.
Yeah, you have a lot here on the high-speed sports wire. Here we go.
Punch this one up. Wrong one. There we go. Okay, these are the late breaking stories. We cover a lot of Formula One auto racing because it's really become a big thing here in the States. Love to get some F1 fans. Join us in the Fans Forum chat box. This soap opera about Team Red Bull out of Austria, the one that has Max Verstappen as their superstar driver, and it's constant drama. Red Bull just fired their CEO. His name is Christian Horner. He was the architect of everything that happened with that F1 team. Horner went there in 2005 to become the CEO when Red Bull bought the near bankrupt, destitute Jaguar team. This was bottom of the barrel. And Horner's expertise in auto racing built that thing. They won 124 races while Horner was the CEO of Team Red Bull. They had two great drivers, Sebastian Vettel, till he retired, and then they discovered Verstappen. But they've really run upon rough times. Verstappen has become a megastar. He's become a head case, basket case. He has clashed with everybody within that organization. They dominated for 2.5 years and then fell off the face of the earth and just have not been able to win. They're fourth in points championships this year, and the demand is you're part of Red Bull, you win. So anyhow, Horner's been involved with flaps with Verstappen, Verstappen's father, the pit crew. They've lost some front office executives because Horner did not like the way they were operating the team. The decision to remove one of their hottest young rookie drivers that they tossed overboard just 2 races into the season. Anyhow, Christian Horner is out. This guy did so many brilliant things, but his decisions obviously have come back to haunt him. So that's a big story in Formula One racing. We'll see if Verstappen can rescue that team the rest of the season. Soccer. We've talked extensively about Team USA's men. Talk about Team USA's women. Interesting story from Trinity Rodman, who, of course, is one of the bright stars on the U.S. women's program. She lectured the media this week. She was at Wimbledon watching the tournament, and I mean, she attracts attention because she's such a great name, great star. And she lectured the TV crews and said, "It is time for you, Mr. Reporter, to stop making reference to Dennis Rodman. I'm tired of answering everybody's questions. Yes, he might be part of my blood, but he's not my father.
Ooh.
He's not my dad. He's never been part of my life. Don't ask me about being Dennis Rodman's daughter." End of interview. Interesting story there. FIFA. They're getting ready for the championship game in the Club World Cup, which has drawn some big crowds, disastrous crowds, taken an enormous amount of controversy. On Sunday, Chelsea is going to meet Paris Saint-Germain in the championship game. But there's just been massive controversy about the games, the wear and tear on players, the ticket prices, brutal heat in some of the outdoor stadiums. And now we find out at the semifinal game that Chelsea played, in which they posted the victory to get to the championship game, there were 70,000 that were in the stadium. FIFA took the tickets that they had tried to price at $300 per ticket. They were selling them for $13 on game day.
Oh my God.
This thing has just been a fiasco and a half. So we got that FIFA story there too. Liverpool, tremendously sad weekend ahead of us. As we talked about early in the week, one of their stars, Diogo Jota, was killed in a terrible auto accident in Spain. He was on his way to England for the opening of their training camp. Mo Salah, the star of Liverpool, is one of Jota's friends, says the players don't want to be on the pitch right now trying to practice because of what's happened. The police investigation have indicated that Jota, who was driving a Lamborghini, was doing 97 on a country highway, tried to pass a truck at a high speed, suffered a blowout. The Lamborghini hit 2 guardrails, exploded into fire. They got trapped inside and burned to death. Just a terribly tragic story. Tennis. We're ready. We're ready for the championship on the weekend. Now, we've got to get through Friday's men's semifinals, which is going to be interesting. Jannik Sinner versus Novak Djokovic. These two guys are real competitors, but Djokovic is the last of the great legendary stars still on the tour. Here comes Sinner. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that Friday semifinal. The other semifinal has Taylor Fritz in it against Carlos Alcaraz. It's been a tournament full of injuries, upsets, fluke happenstances. Early hours this morning, the number one woman, Aryna Sabalenka, got knocked out by a girl from New Jersey, of all people. And Sabalenka has had all these temper tantrums on the court. Her game just goes haywire. She kind of plays like you play. Sometimes you're okay, and other times you're hitting the ball out on the road. She just absolutely unraveled. So Wimbledon's going to be fun, especially on the men's side. There's nobody left in the women. Every big name, started with Coco Gauff getting knocked out first day, and now the number one seed got nailed early this morning. So if you like tennis, got Wimbledon on the weekend. And this is bizarre. Mary Lou Retton, we've talked about her in the news, former Olympic gymnastic gold medal star, lives in West Virginia, arrested DUI. There appears to be a history of mental illness that has developed with Mary Lou Retton. She's unmarried now, no money, had no health insurance. They had to have a GoFundMe campaign to come up with money to take care of her medical issues. She's got breathing problems. Anyhow, she got arrested on DUI walking down the street, refused to take the breathalyzer test. And then she got in a confrontation with the state troopers outside of Fairmont, West Virginia, and said she pulled the, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah, that always works.
"I am West Virginia's first daughter." It's a really sad commentary, and there's nobody there to help her. Her daughters are there, but it's kind of a sad situation for somebody who was so popular and so successful. So, John, I threw a lot of darts on the board. Go ahead, pick some of that stuff you want to talk about.
Mary Lou Retton, really? I mean, that's like America's darling,
Bizarre.
It is bizarre. And, she was the queen of the world, man, back, was it the 84 Olympics?
Yes.
So that's just a really sad story. I was watching a little more Wimbledon this year than I had in previous years, and it's a really great tournament. It's just so classic. And I just remember watching a lot of it when I was a teenager, when all the American stars were dominating the sport. But it's fun to kind of reconnect with Wimbledon because it's a different flavor of tennis. And then the fans that are there in the stands, it's a cool atmosphere. It's a lot different than other sports.
It's a really different tourney than the French Open because this is grass and it's just got a different environment to it. That is clay. Obviously, hot weather, rain makes a big difference. Fans in France are much more vocal than they're so reserved at center court at Wimbledon. So, great tournament. But we're going through a changing of the guard. There obviously is no more Agassi. There is no more Rafael Nadal. Roger Federer has gone into retirement. So Djokovic is the last of that group of studs that's still there. And here comes Alcala and here comes Sinner. And those guys just play fierce tennis. Sabalenka on the women's side, all the women are gone. I mean, when Venus and Serena left and retired, age and injury, women's side just has not had anybody step forward. Sabalenka's got all this talent. I think she's from Belarus. But boy, she is so stormy on the court. And when she loses her composure. I've seen video of her coming off the court, smashing her rackets against the wall and screaming. And she's really acted badly in some of the post-tournament press conferences. And then she apologizes. But I mean, Sabalenka got beat by the girl from New Jersey that nobody knew. How's that possible? How could you be number one in the world and be so up and down, hot and cold? So Wimbledon is so cool. I got introduced to Wimbledon back in the 80s. It's when I first started to pay attention to it, and I was kind of spoiled. I'd sit there and I would watch Borg and McEnroe and Connors and Jim Courier. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And Pete Sampras. It was just phenomenal tennis. I mean, with elite personalities and players. And on the men's side and the other side, it was Chrissy, it was Martina. It was Martina, it was Chrissy. And they disliked each other. And the biggest angle to that storyline is they are the closest of friends right now because they're both cancer survivors. I mean, they are really bonded. It's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, well, those two are linked, Martina and Chrissy, kind of like, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson to a degree. But there's just so many other names in that era, like Michael Chang and Jennifer Capriati. Who
but they were there for short periods.
Yeah.
We're talking about some of the dominated.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of McEnroe. You cannot be serious. He was fantastic.
He's great on TV right now.
Yeah, he is. I've noticed that he's doing some ads and things. But it's kind of cool that we've got an American that's in the finals for the ladies championship, knocked off the number one in the world. We got someone to cheer for.
Yeah, but nobody knows who she is.
Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. Okay, that's all things. Fans Forum chat box is just around the corner. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects for 2025, they got materials. You want ideas, they can be your consultant and your best friend. Go to DIXIELINE.com, see all the things that they have to offer. DIXIELINE. We got people stacked up here. Everybody's got questions for the host. Everybody's got questions for the guy out with his opinions from left field. John, go ahead.
Okay, let's go start here with Halos in the infield. Howdy, Hacksaw. Long time no talk. The Angels have yet to get over the hump of being 500. With that being said, have they overachieved up to this point of the season, or will they stay in the hunt all season and just fizzle away at the end? Even that would be an improvement from seasons past. Hope to talk baseball again with you soon.
You can talk anytime. At the end of the day, if they can keep this thing at 500 and they're kind of clawing their way up the ladder, they get close to 500, they get to 500, and then they go on a bit of a losing streak. They just don't have enough pitching. But to me, the bigger picture is leadership, the bigger picture. And that's why I put this angle and this topic on the table with the Angels is Perry Manassian's had a chunk of time to try to do this. And I don't see great progress being made. They haven't developed a pitcher at all. And all the drafts that they've had to try to put this thing together. And I bring it up because you got 2 name marquee guys that are out there. I mean, I think you would agree with me. Theo Epstein's got great credentials, and we know what Mike Rizzo did from absolute ground zero when he became general manager with the Washington Nationals and all the players they drafted, and they got to the World Series, and they lost everybody because the owners refused to pay the money, and they were starting to rebuild, and they've got a bunch of cornerstones there. So, yeah, Rizzo and Epstein might be available. Maybe Artie Moreno should consider those guys as the leader and just step away and let proven baseball people. Might cost you money. What the hell's the difference? You want a good product on the field, you got to invest in maybe one of these guys as a leader. You buy that?
I do buy that. I think it makes a lot of sense because, it's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But this guy here, Halos in the infield, isn't he the podcaster that just does only Angels topics? Weren't you a guest on his show?
I've been on multiple times. And we talk a lot of different baseball things, primarily Southern California, but they're based in Orange County and they do a good job with what they do. And it's obviously heavily laced with Angel baseball.
Now, weren't you on Bill Werndel's show recently?
In Philadelphia.
How'd that go?
Same old, same old. Bill's great.
Yeah.
Bill does a 1-hour sports talk show every day, just kind of keeps himself active. He does what he did here. He yells a lot and he talks a lot of national stuff. And so it's cool. He always has me on to talk about the West Coast perspective of what's going on with the Dodgers or the Padres or the Lakers or the NFL, et cetera. So we talk. I'm on probably once a month with him. I just do it because he's one of my longtime friends.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I didn't say it was good radio, but it was cool.
All right, let's keep moving on. Let's go here to He goes, hello, gentlemen. I never thought we'd see Mookie Betts being below average at this point in the season. He has a 97 WRC plus, 100 is league average. Previously, he'd be at least 130 WRC plus, 30% better than the league.
Well, combination. Remember, he got sick. He got sick really early, and I'd say it really bothered him for about a month, this intestinal virus, and they couldn't figure it out, and it just took him forever to get his strength back. Now he's got a foot injury too. He practices. He plays so hard. He wants to be out there every minute of every day. I just don't think you're getting 100% of Mookie Betts. I think I checked maybe a day or so, 2 days ago. His batting average is like 258, and he's not hitting with very much power. I just think he's physically weak. I just don't think he's ever recovered from whatever he had. They had some type of digestive viral infection, coming out of spring training. I just think it knocked him for a loop, and I don't even know he's totally back.
You know, it's usually when he comes up to bat, you know he's going to get a hit. You know something good is going to happen whenever he's playing.
Not at 258.
Yeah, this is weird. I mean, it's all part of this Dodger thing where they got injuries. You got Mookie Betts that's not playing up to standard. Shohei Ohtani's on a bit of a slump right now at the bat.
239 since June when he started putting all of his emphasis on getting ramped up to pitch. His stuff at home plate's kind of gone away.
Now, do you see any scenario where the Dodgers like literally flame out in the second half?
Oh, now you're asking me that question as a fan or as a talk show host?
Both.
I find it hard to think that they would absolutely self-destruct because they do have more pitching on the way. You know, they got some of them back more. And also Dodger dollars buy a lot. Dodger dollars to go into the trade market within 2 weeks, and maybe they get another third baseman that changes everything. I mean, if Arenado's having a good season in St. Louis, I don't think is going to be a wild card team. So maybe they move Arenado, and he wants to come out here. He's got a full no trade, but he's told them, I'd go to the Dodgers, I'd go to the Angels.
How's he hitting this year, Arenado?
I want to say in the 260s, 270s. His average is down, but he's still got power. He still plays really solid third base.
But he's still with the Cardinals, right?
Yes.
Okay, I remember there was talk of maybe him going to Boston.
Oh, they were shopping him. Everybody, I mean, they thought they were going to trade him at the winter meetings last December. I mean, there's talk about the Yankees. There's still conversations, lots of other people, but his deal is $12 million left on this year's contract, $24 million next season.
Okay.
So,
well, the LA can afford that.
So to answer your question, no, I don't think the Dodgers are going to melt down because they'll just open their wallet and Dodger dollars will help them make another transaction.
Must be nice. All right. Okay, let's go here back to our good friend Callan. And he says, hey, afternoon, gents. I was wondering, did you ever do a WHA game in San Diego while you were in Cleveland or any other market by chance?
Yeah, I was the voice of Cleveland Crusaders. We came out here on a West Coast road trip. We were on the road forever. And we played in the San Diego Sports Arena. And I went in there. It was interesting because everybody said, that place is a dump. Well, the Bavasi family, I don't know if it was Peter Bavasi. Anyhow, he was the operational manager of the arena at that time. And I was pretty impressed. I cleaned it up. They painted it. I mean, it looked kind of snazzy. And the San Diego Mariners were a pretty good team. They were only in existence, I think, for 3 years in the WHA. And they had a Philadelphia Flyers center by the name of Andre Lacroix, who was a really good hockey player. Anyway, we came in here on a road trip, and we led 4-0. I thought, oh, we're going to win this game. Damn, San Diego came back. The Mariners came back and beat the Crusaders. So, yeah, I did that one game. The rest of the trip was a blur. We were in San Diego. We were in Houston. We were just on the road for like a week and a half. It was just kind of really hard in the WHA. But that was my introduction to San Diego, was to come out here and do a game with the San Diego Mariners.
So you were a broadcaster in the WHA, but then you were also a broadcaster in the league that had Slapshot.
That's where I was in the minor leagues for 4 years, where Slapshot was. And then I went to the World Hockey Association in Cleveland.
So you got the promotion to the big leagues.
Yes, I got called to the show. And then Cleveland went out of business. And then I went to Indianapolis. I did the Indianapolis Racers for 2 years. I was there when Gretzky was an 18-year-old. He was there for 4 weeks, and they sold his contract to Edmonton, and the rest is history. But I did the Indianapolis Racers on TV for 2 years, freelance, while I was doing sports talk in Cleveland. So yeah, I did 3 years of WHA hockey, and I thought I was going to wind up in the NHL because the NHL took a franchise. They took the California Golden Seals, Charlie Finley's team,
right?
Took them and they relocated them to Cleveland. And I thought I was going to get the play-by-play job of the then Cleveland Barons. But it didn't happen. I was kind of devastated. And the Barons were just a disaster. I don't know if they lasted 3 years, and then they wound up moving to Minnesota, and they yanked the franchise out of Cleveland. They've never had an NHL team since.
Yeah, I don't usually think of Cleveland and hockey together. I mean,
great minor league tradition.
Right.
The old American Hockey League Cleveland Barons. That was in the era of your original 6. But they were, I think they were one of maybe the top farm club of the Montreal Canadiens for a while. They had great players, played in an old, dumpy Cleveland arena downtown, and didn't have plexiglass. It had chicken wire.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what hockey in the 50s
it's like
and
the
60s.
Blues Brothers on stage or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what it was, the Cleveland Barons. But they were a really good franchise in the American Hockey League, and then they built the Richfield Coliseum southeast of Cleveland, between Cleveland and Akron. They built it for the Cavaliers and for the hockey team. And then the owner of the Cavaliers, who built the building, got the WHA team, the Crusaders, and they had a really good run. They spent a lot of money really early, but it all kind of caught up to them.
To me, it's always interesting to hear the stories of your career and where it's taken you, because I only knew the Hacksaw from San Diego, right? Which is spectacular on its own end. I remember in the 90s, I was a big fan of your show and everything you did with the Chargers, but it's interesting to see how your career has grown.
I would have never expected it. My whole goal was to get to the NHL. That's why I spent so much time in the minor leagues, and the Slapshot era, that was a really hard existence. Those bus trips were bitches. And, we played 70, I think we were playing 74 games in the North American Hockey League on the buses. Everything in the movie Slapshot is, I swear to you, it's virtually all true. So you do that for 4 years. Holy cow. It was so hard. And I got the chance to go to Cleveland, and I got the Cleveland Crusaders job, and it was just fabulous. And then all of a sudden it was gone because of what was going on with the NHL WHA merger and money problems
just
all
a
over.
Victim of circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you make contacts, you survive. Hell, look what happened to me out here. I'm working with you. Damn, look what happened to me.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's go here to the O-Siders. He goes, hey, what do you think of the Padres going scorched earth and trading away Cease and Suarez and Arise and anyone in between to stockpile young talent and depth, which they desperately need?
That is not in the DNA of AJ Preller, and I don't think you could do that. Because you do that, you betray the entire season ticket community. What they have established, what Eric Grupner and ownership of the Sidlers have established, is something really special. I was thinking about this morning. Wouldn't it be something if Dean Spanos came down to visit San Diego and went to Petco Park and saw what San Diego's become because of the type of ownership the Padres have compared to the type of ownership that he presented? Because the Padres emotionally and financially own this market, and he could have had that. And he didn't, because he refused to take part to build a new stadium. He could have been revered forever in San Diego for saving the Chargers and getting the stadium done, and instead he's forever reviled. And I just thought about that this morning, about the greatness of the Padres, Destination Point, the brilliance of John Moore's Larry Lucchino, Petco Park, what this thing evolved into. And Spanos could have had that with the NFL team, and instead, no. He had to be greedy, and he had to go do what he did up there, and now he's on the periphery of fan interest up there. So I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but you asked me. So, but back to the original question. No, you can't hold a fire sale. Not when you're averaging over 40,000 per game, and you've had 33 sellouts, whatever the mystical number is right now. Now it's a baseball town, lock, stock, and barrel. Got to do a better job in terms of roster building, but now fire sale would just, I think, would be. He's a season ticket holder. He'd break his heart if we got into fire sale mode, wouldn't it?
Oh, it'd be awful. I mean, but imagine, being a Padre fan 15, 20 years ago, or even really through most of their history. Right now, they're kind of on the bubble if the season ended today, whether they make it. And you can imagine being a Padre fan, suffering for so long, and say, just sell off. We don't really need to go in as a wild card.
That's it. I apologize in advance, O-Sider. I wouldn't consider that.
Well, now the other scenario that you brought up is about Dean Spanos at Petco Park. Can you imagine if he was a guest there in the suite and then they put his picture up on the big screen? Can you imagine what he would get from San Diego fans?
Can you imagine? I mean, he spent so much time living here after moving from Stockton when his dad bought the team, and they did a lot of things in the community. Can you imagine now just being hated forever for the rest of your life by the community that at one point loved your franchise? That's always never come back.
Him, Donald Sterling, there's a list of them.
Yeah, stand in line. Okay, interesting question, Sider. Thank you.
Okay, here's a long one, but we'll try to get as much of it as we can from Aztec Mike. And he goes, San Diego State and the Mountain West are not afraid of Grand Canyon. Your loud student section doesn't play in the game. The players do. Gloria through Grand Canyon, a lifeline WCC is suing Grand Canyon for backing out and going to the Mountain West, and the WAC won't let them back in. By the best GCU players transferred out. Their best player went to Gonzaga, winning the WAC, isn't close to winning the Mountain West. The best team, Grand Canyon, ever beat San Diego State by 5 in 2023. Same year, San Diego State went to the final game of the Final Four. GCU only ever been there in history, got past the first round.
I concur. But at the end of the day, this is more about the financial impact. To add another team, to give them a cut of the financial pie. And like I said, when San Diego State, Boise State, and those people elected to opt out, they gave up their voting power. Now I'm led to believe that Boise is going to file for an injunction that you can't make economic decisions that impact us for a whole calendar year. And they're going to try to put a hold on this. I don't know whether that's going to work or not. But, San Diego, Mark Ziegler wrote a great in-depth article, but quit freaking whining. Don't worry about it. You got a great program here. Just go play them. If you kick their ass, you kick their ass. If they beat you there, okay, so be it. It's not going to impact San Diego State because they're going to be so deep and so good. I do agree with the Aztec, Mike. There's an awful lot of whining and crying here, but the fact is this is going to wind up in litigation, like this whole Mountain West Pac-12 fee situations in the middle of mediation right now. We don't know the outcome of this. It's really a nasty divorce, which is too bad because San Diego State and Boise were the flagship carriers of the Mountain West Conference, and I hate to think about it ending so bad. And I also I've got friends in Wyoming, and I hate to think about what's left behind because they're going to be at a different level without the flagship programs. So it's kind of tough.
Yeah, it is. But we're only talking about basketball, right? They don't have a football program there. So, by the way, you're talking about Ziegler. He did a preview on what's going on with San Diego State basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hella good to see these guys coming back. Miles Bird is a leader. BJ, what's his name? Not BJ Thomas.
BJ Davis.
BJ Davis, excuse me. BJ Davis cut his hair. He doesn't look like the same guy anymore, but apparently Magoon Guas put on some LBs. You got some muscle mass there.
Well, all the young freshmen, that played last year have now been in the weight training program and the nutrition program for another year. I'll guarantee you, these kids come on the court when we get to actual opening of regular practice. They're not going to look like the same team. Bulked up.
Yeah, hell yeah. So, I think the Aztec basketball is going to be so great this year. And I'm looking forward to the football program taking that next step. They're still playing Mountain West this fall, right?
Yeah, but they hit the reset button in terms of the whole roster.
Well, everybody's going through that.
Yeah, it's a clean piece of paper again. You would hope. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on this whole thing with the quarterback, Danny O'Neill, that he betrayed that head coach by bailing the way he did. And so now you're back to square one and you're trying to teach a whole complicated system to 3 new quarterbacks. And it's going to be a clean piece of paper for everybody, but that means it's a whole learning curve for everybody too.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Okay, let's keep on going here. And there's 2 guys, kind of similar comments about the Dodgers. One is from Tim Todd. Tim, we used to work with you at Extra Sports. I go out to breakfast sometimes with Tim. He's a great guy. He says, hey, let's go Dodgers. Ouch. Dodgers, what's the deal? And then Gordon comes in. He goes, hi, Lee and John, 106 degrees in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's monsoon season. Every team in baseball hits a slump. The Dodgers are going through it. They will be okay after the All-Star break. Bring in DJ LeMahieu.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do at third base because Muncy is gone for a real extended chunk of time, and he was playing pretty well. He was actually started to hit. Dodger dollars, they buy a lot of stuff, and I think before the trade deadline, they'll open that checkbook, and Dodger dollars will buy somebody else. I don't know whether it's Arenado or LeMahieu, has been a really good player. The bulk of his numbers that he built his career on were based in Colorado. He might have been a Coors Canaveral player but he's had a lot of injuries. My God, he's had so many injuries with the Yankees. It was interesting because I thought about this. Troy Tulowitzki wound up leaving Colorado. And when he left Colorado, he totally broke down. Had so many injuries, notably his legs and feet. LeMahieu's got the exact same set of circumstances, and he put up really great numbers while he was there in Denver too. So I don't know whether the light air has got the altitude's got something to do with wear and tear, but those are 2 really fine players who just physically fell apart when they went somewhere else.
Well, didn't LeMahieu win a batting title or come close to it one year? So with the Yankees, with the Yankees. But yeah, those stats are going to be inflated. But if I were LA, man, I'd get Arenado, and plug him in there. I think he would be a great fit. And all the good vibes since he's a LA boy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you put him into the middle of a really good lineup, he's got a lot of young guys around him in St. Louis, but you put him in the middle of that batting order with everybody else, who's going to pitch around?
Yeah, nobody.
So, I mean, it's interesting. I think they're going to do something to go get a third baseman. New Mexico, thank you for joining us. Stay out of it's really been bad. Southeast New Mexico, Rio Doso area, terrible.
Would you see that house like floating down the river? Yes. That was unbelievable.
As bad as what's going on in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go here. Our buddy John, he goes, I can see Rizzo going to the Angels, but Theo Epstein is having conversations with learners in D.C. The Nationals get out of their TV deal with the Orioles in 2026, and they'll get to see some increase in revenues. AJ might be a little worried about losing his gig to Rizzo if he can't get some pitching and left field help soon.
Nah, I don't think AJ's in any hot water here. But I grant you, John, and I've talked about this before, the window to be a World Series team, it's getting tighter because you got a lot of age on that pitching staff, and the clock ticks on Machado's age, Bogart's age, etc. But Preller has always managed to make deals, so I don't think Preller's in jeopardy. Rizzo's a hot commodity, that you've got. I tried to think of myself this morning who would hire him, and that's where the thought about the Angels and Orde Moreno popped into my mind. We're talking proven commodity, but just not there. If Colorado wants to fix all things wrong in Rocky baseball, why not Mike Rizzo? Pittsburgh, if ownership wants to do something, why not Mike Rizzo? Now, in terms of Theo, I'm not sure that Theo wants to be a general manager. The wear and tear and the pressure points are phenomenal, but from a financial standpoint, Theo's got contacts everywhere in terms of coming in and becoming a part owner of a team. So the learners have been attempting to sell that franchise. So that would make some sense to me. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason. But you got two marquee general managers with proven stuff on their resume that you look at.
But a lot of those franchises are poorly run from an ownership perspective. Pittsburgh's owners are crap. Colorado's owners, Dick Monfort's been terrible.
Yes.
And then I think there's been a lot of criticism of Arte Moreno with the Angels. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully one of those teams makes a good choice and gets one of these, experienced guys, give him the money and let him go to work. I mean, that's what Dean Spanos finally did with Jim Harbaugh.
Finally. Okay, move on.
Okay, and let's go to our social media friends. There's a bunch of them out there and a lot of Dodger talk. Let's start here. And this is with Retro JR. He says, hey, Dodgers bullpen completely ran out of gas, plain and simple. Dodgers are still have a big lead, but I'd be careful. Both the Padres, D-backs, and even the Giants are lurking.
Well, what was 9 games, and it looked a week and a half ago, looked like this thing was almost over, is now down to 6. And the Dodgers they've stopped hitting. This 6-game losing streak, their collective team batting average is $1.99. Think about that.
That's crazy.
Isn't it something? And the bullpen, I think there's the wear and tear factor, the overuse on Tanner Scott and Vessier. It's just been monstrous. Now Michael Kopech just had knee surgery again, and he's gone. They put him back on the 60-day disabled list. Now, Trinan just went through his first rehab out in Oklahoma City last night, and he might be 1 or 2 more appearances before he comes back. But so trade deadline, though, Dodger dollars, they're going to do something. So pennant race is not over, and the Dodgers can still get hot, still pull away. But they're going to have to make a deal to get a replacement, I think, for Muncy. And some of these other guys are not hitting, got to hit.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've been criticizing the pitching and all the injuries, but we always sort of assume they'd win 10-8, because Ohtani hit a bunch of bombs, and even all those guys are struggling. So you just think of, if you're a fan of the Diamondbacks or the Giants or the Padres, so this is the time to make hay, to catch up to the Dodgers. It seems everyone's sputtering.
Yeah, but San Francisco shot their bullet. They went out and got Ralph Devers. In terms of Arizona, I don't think it's possible. They've lost so many pitchers. I think last I counted, they got 4 guys who had surgeries. They're done. And the Padres, I think the big issue with the Padres, I don't think they can take on any more payroll. Owners are just not going to let them do it, despite the volume of money that they are making, averaging over 40,000 fans per game. But they're trying to recoup all the money they lost for the first 5 to 7 years of A.J. Preller's mode of operation. So They can't go higher in that luxury tax thing because it's got all kinds of implications.
Because usually AJ kind of sort of breaks the ice and gets one of those trades in early, like a Rise last year.
Yeah,
right?
It hasn't happened.
Yeah, interesting.
But his payroll is $211 million, and he can't. I don't think he can go much higher than that. That's the base payroll. When you add in benefits, his payroll is probably in the 243 brand. And he just can't go above that because of the penalties, the sanctions of international money draft picks. That really impacts you.
Yeah, it does. Okay, let's keep going on. And hey, how about some Gold Cup soccer talk? Here we go with Exon. He says, hey, so which players stay for the World Cup who played in the Gold Cup?
Well, Tillman, Brown, Berhalter's son. I think Matt Freese is going to get serious consideration to maybe be the starting goalkeeper. But, I counted, actually I made a list this morning. There's 9 veteran players who were not part of this Gold Cup tournament. They're going to rejoin this team. I mean, it's just not Pulisic. It's Dest and it's McKennie.
Gio Reyna,
Balogun, who was
yeah.
hurt. I mean, they've got a lot of guys who played at this level and played pretty well. So they're going to join this young montage of young guys. So that's going to be fun to see. And I think I read that Pochettino has 9 friendlies games lined up between now and the start of the World Cup next year. So there's going to be a fair amount of time to get everybody here, get them amalgamated, and find out who the right guys who's going to fit. So I think the arrow is kind of pointed back up again. I'm still waiting to see if Landon Donovan or Tim Howard or Alexi Lawless or anybody wants to apologize for all the junk that came out of their mouth about what Pochettino was doing.
Yeah. I think they definitely owe an apology. But yeah, it's going to be great when this whole thing comes back around next year, building up to the excitement of World Cup.
And they got numbers. That's the thing that excites me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Pulisic group has shown they can play at the global level. And these kids, now granted, maybe the Gold Cup rosters were really poor. Maybe Costa Rica and Honduras are really pitiful. But they played so well against the Mexican side, so hard, didn't cave in with a Mexican side that had stars from Mexico and guys from the English Premier League. I was really impressed with the kids.
2 other names. I think Diego Luna, you
Right.
know, he's got a real nose for the ball to get it in the goal. And then De La Torre, he's like a veteran. He's been on that national team in the World Cup. So yeah, we might see a number of those guys make the final squad.
Yeah, it's a good collection. Okay, thank you, World Cup caller. Next one.
Okay, and let's talk a little Lakers here. And this is with Zen. He goes, hey, talking about LeBron, the rumors of him maybe going to Cleveland. Send him to the South Bay Lakers. On a serious note, I believe Jeannie Buss fell in love with LeBron James. That's why she keeps listening to him and to even want to make a statue for him. Now that she is not the majority owner, the new owners in thinking if LeBron is worth keeping.
Oh, I think they keep him. Because there's hardly anybody can take on a $52 million contract. Secondly, he's 41 years of age. The only thing that makes sense is Cleveland. If he wants to go home and have a homecoming in the 216 area code, and maybe possibly, but I can't even see Cleveland doing that because Cleveland's got just a cavalcade of really good young players, and I don't think they want to break anything up, and the Lakers aren't giving up LeBron unless they're getting quality in return, and I can't see Cleveland willing to trade Garland and willing to trade Mobley or in a package deal. So I think we have what we have, which is Luka. We'll see if Luka's different this year because everybody that I've talked to says he is different. So you got Luka, and you got LeBron, you got the emergence of Austin Reeves, and now here comes Mr. Max. We'll find out what DeAndre Ayton does in terms of contribution. You still have Rui Hachimura. The rest of the bench bunch to me doesn't do very much for me, but we'll just have to see. We'll see if Ayton can be something that he wasn't in Portland. Came into the league in Phoenix and looked like a force, and then became a fringe perimeter player. And Suns got rid of him. Portland was so turned off they just bought him out, let him leave. So this relationship with Doncic and LeBron and Reeves and the impact on DeAndre Ayton, keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I hope he's going to be successful because that dude was a beast at U of A. I mean, he just was so dominant, so huge. He's got the frame to be successful in the NBA. So maybe it's like a deal where LeBron straightens them out and the Lakers can hopefully find another guy to plug in. Because, who was the other guy? Jackson Hayes. I mean, they had no other guy to go to.
And the big issue with DeAndre is mindset, and we didn't see any of that in Portland. That was miserable basketball, and the way he conducted his own business was pretty miserable too. Okay, a couple more here before I put a lid on it.
Okay, let's go over here. And there was a lot of talk about, this Don Orsillo, Mark Grant comments that we've been making on the show. This is from Slum Ronnie, and he says, horrible take. Don and Mudley are the best broadcasting team in Major League Baseball. We don't want the same old BS, boring commentary as every other team.
I concur. They're popular. I don't buy the theory, let's rotate a whole pile of guys in there. My critique and analysis was not so much against anything Donnie or Mud does. My critique is what they're not doing consistently. For example, they'll do the game last night. They'll do a highlight in the second or third inning of the Dodgers getting their doors blown off by Milwaukee. But they don't do highlights every night. So why are we not doing it with a consistent basis? Because there are a lot of other storylines out there. I mean, the Blue Jays have won 10 in a row. Cleveland had lost 10 in a row. Those are all unique stories. So why not use your manpower? And I like all those guys. Use your manpower and put better content on the broadcast, in addition to all the things that Don and Mud do as it relates to baseball, as it relates to, that's a great gift, and all the promos and all. But do this other stuff. Use Scanlon, use Pomerantz, have discussions about hot topics on the table, aside from just balls and strikes and Padres and selling the shtick. They're great. I have no problem with it. Anybody that if you're criticizing me for my critique of the broadcast, you're missing the message, because I think there's a lot more stuff they could do in addition to the leadership and the persona that they get from Orsillo and Mark Grant.
See, well, this is Hacksaw talking about if he were king and the way he'd do it. I mean, that's the thing. You want to put topics on the table. That's always been your style.
Yeah.
That's
my preference. There's nothing wrong with it. There's so much stuff out there to talk about. Do the scoreboard consistently. Do it every game. I mean, they had Bob Scanlon do an insert with the Dodgers getting their doors blown off in the bottom of the ninth inning by Milwaukee. That's the only time they did it in the game. Didn't do any other games. I swear to you, they probably won't do it tonight. And they don't do it consistently. You got the content. You got the people. Do it. Add it to the formula.
Well, remember, they are experimenting, and I kind of like that. But what was your take? Remember, they would bring on the umpire that would be up in the booth with them. Did you like that?
I thought it was novel. I don't know that I'd want a steady diet of it, but maybe there was some pressure there. Remember, the package is owned by MLB. It's owned by the commissioner's office. So maybe there were some pressure points of, guys, we don't need a retired umpire critiquing other umpires. But my theory is it's fresh, it's refreshing, it's really different.
See, I thought it was interesting the first and second time I heard it.
Yeah, but the fourth or fifth time? Nah.
Yeah, then and the guy they had who was a very knowledgeable umpire, he wasn't a bundle of energy, so it didn't make for as compelling of TV. But sometimes it's cool when they bring, Jake Peavy into the booth, or Joe Musgrove. I remember I always loved it when they talked to Blake Snell in the dugout.
Yeah, but that got old after a while, and he doesn't say very much. Next thing you're going to tell me, it's great that they live mic'd Tatis in right field for 3-word answers.
No, well, that's the Fox crew that does that, and that's crap.
Yeah.
But I always liked it when they talked to Blake. That was always like a kind of a light moment.
Okay, I was not ripping Don or Mud.
How dare you?
I just want topics on the table. There's so much more there to add to the broadcast. No.
Okay, let's talk here a little more Padres here, and this is from Al. He goes, Padres are dead, like Pope John Paul is dead. Tatis is a bust for the money you're paying him. You hardly see a line drive off his bat. Bat him sixth in the lineup to wake him up. Career contract has backfired. Trade Tatis now or take a heavy loss later. You forget he failed as a shortstop. That's brutal.
I wonder I wonder if people should have to start to show their driver's license before we let them on. I'm sure that came from the 213 area code
for sure.
at a Chavez Ravine.
Yeah,
and
Echo
that's
Park.
okay. No, the only point I'll say about Tatis, I think he's hurt. And he intimated that he turned down the opportunity to go to Home Run Derby All-Star Game because of the oblique. Okay, so I think he's hurt. That's why he's hitting 206 or whatever the number is since May. I also think about this. I'll say this, and this is probably going to blow up social media. He's a great athlete. Maybe he's gotten by on everything as a great athlete, and maybe he's not a student of the game. You know, some guys you can talk and try to teach to make them different. Maybe he's not a student of the game. He's just gotten by on raw talent, and now the raw talent is banged up or it's hurt or people have figured him out. Maybe he's not a student of the game that they can change him. Does that make sense?
I understand your logic, but I don't buy it. You know, Tatis is a sharp guy. I mean, he's not like, you know, Greg Maddux IQ student of the game, but he's still a good talent. And you can see that he makes hella players, not just with his athleticism, but some of his sneaky moves. You know, he'll throw behind the runner to get him at first base. He's always looking to, you know, make a play.
There's a baseball IQ there. I agree with you.
Yeah. And like he won the Gold Glove as the shortstop in the National League, you know, besides the Platinum Glove in right field. So I don't know. Tatis just going through a stretch. I think he's going to be all right, but this is definitely a Dodger fan just laying it on.
But everybody's entitled. We had Angel fans calling, got Dodger fans, etc. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our Thursday podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. We do sports talk the way it should be. We hit a lot of hot buttons along the way. We probably upset a few people. That's okay, because we do cover topics on the table, and we thank you for being part of Fans Forum. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you. Got projects? Go to DIXIELINE.com, see all the things they have to offer. John, take a deep breath. Hopefully we won't get to watch bad Summer League basketball at 5 o'clock tonight. We'll be back here on Monday with more topics on the table.
More topics on the table. It's going to be great, Hacksaw. Have a great sports weekend.
Have a great sports weekend, too. Thank you, as always, for being part of our team and joining us on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.